This is Valley News Live at noon.
We start with information that's new at noon. A former West Fargo teacher has pleaded guilty to 1 count of possessing child porn. Ronald Thompson changed his plea to guilty this morning. Earlier this year, a jury found Thompson guilty of luring a minor for sex. He was sentenced to 18 months in prison after he had inappropriate conversations with who he believed was a 14-year-old Florida girl. While Thompson admitted that he does like chatting online with younger girls, he was adamant that he never crossed the line with any of his students or young athletes in West Fargo. Person is under arrest for a DUI and several are hurt following a rollover crash in Grand Forks. Police say around 2 this morning they were called to the 3400 block of Demers Avenue for a vehicle that hit the median and rolled. 2 people were thrown from the vehicle. Authorities say 7 people in total were in the car. 2 were taken to the hospital right away and 4 others were taken later. Their conditions are unknown. The driver from Grand Forks was arrested for DUI. Firefighters are looking for the cause of a fire that damaged a car in a South Fargo apartment lot. It was discovered just after midnight in the 3100 block of 32nd Street South. No word yet on a cause. Friends and family are gathering in Carrington, North Dakota today for the funeral of a young man who was killed in a hit and run earlier this month. The service for 18-year-old Kaylor Ellingson is this afternoon at 1 at Trinity Lutheran Church. He'll be buried at the Grace City Cemetery. Ellingson died after being hit by an SUV after a street dance in Mchenry in the early morning hours of September 18th. Shannon Brandt of Mchenry is charged with criminal vehicular homicide and leaving the scene of a crash. Court records show he told police he felt threatened by the victim during an argument about politics. The North Dakota Highway Patrol says there is little indication that Ellingson was a political extremist like Brandt is claiming. Well, the sun is shining, but it definitely feels like fall out there. Let's check in with meteorologist Jim Gash.
Thanks, Jillian. Yeah, you're right. It does feel like fall out there here in Fargo, where we're taking a look at a lot of those high-level passing clouds moving through the valley this afternoon. And yes, fall is here with those temperatures in the 50s and 60s out west in much of North Dakota, while we still have those 50s hanging on in Minnesota. Our sky conditions for the time being are showing mostly clear skies, but some passing clouds like we saw on that Fargo Skycam, and there's even some showers moving through earlier this morning through the James River Basin, but I don't expect a lot of that rain actually made it to the ground before evaporating. Now, for the next few hours through this afternoon here in Fargo, we'll see our temperatures max out just at 63 degrees this afternoon, but we will have those passing clouds on and off, partly cloudy through mostly sunny skies. But I'll let you know when we can expect more rain in the future coming up.
All right, thanks, Jim. What was Tropical Storm Ian is now a hurricane, and it continues to strengthen. The storm is expected to slam into Florida in the middle of this week, and there's already a state of emergency there. Long lines for gas, packed grocery stores, and empty shelves were seen as people prepare. President Biden has already approved emergency aid for Florida. Hurricane force winds are expected later this week. A lot of rain and storm surge of 7 to 8 feet. Flames shooting out of 3 apartment units. That's what fire crews pulled up to at the West Winds complex in South Fargo. The 911 calls started rolling in around 3 yesterday afternoon from the 3400 block of 42nd Street South. Heavy fire was coming out of balconies on all 3 floors of the building. Firefighters say the fire spread into the attic of the 52-unit building. No one was hurt, but the fire displaced tenants from 24 apartment units, and many lost everything. Damage is estimated at $500,000, but there's no word yet on how the fire started. An 18-year-old woman is dead after a rollover in the Northern Valley. The North Dakota Highway Patrol says the victim left a road north of Bottineau yesterday morning, overcorrected, and rolled her pickup. The woman was thrown from the vehicle during the rollover and died at the scene. Her name hasn't been released yet, but troopers confirmed she was from Bottineau. Former Republican Congressman Denver Riggleman appeared on 60 Minutes ahead of the release of a new book documenting his time spent working as an investigator on the January 6th committee. And as Natalie Brandt reports, he had a startling revelation.
Days before a hearing of the Select Committee investigating January 6th, a former committee staffer is revealing new information about what he describes as a potential link between the White House and a rioter on that day.
The White House switchboard had connected to a rioter's phone while it's happening. That's a pretty big aha moment. You get an aha.
Wait a minute. Someone in the White House was calling one of the rioters while the riot was going on?
On January 6th, absolutely.
And you know who both ends of that call?
I only know one end of that call.
Denver Riggleman, appearing on CBS Morning, said the call lasted just 10 seconds. He was asked whether it could have come from the former president.
I would say it's probably not probable, but on the other hand, we don't know what those extensions or those numbers are.
Riggleman, a former House member, served as a technical advisor for the committee, assessing data and phone records before leaving in April.
Without the advantage of the additional information we've gathered since he left the committee, I think poses real risk to be suggesting things.
That's one of thousands of details that obviously the committee is aware of.
In its first public hearing since July, the January 6th committee on Wednesday is expected to reveal some new information and focus on ongoing threats. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The trial of Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes gets underway tomorrow. He's accused of plotting to attack the U.S. Capitol in an attempt to keep Donald Trump in the White House. He faces the most serious criminal charges leveled against any of the January 6 attackers to date. Well, coming up at noon, it's better to be safe than sorry when NASA attempts something never done before. But next, with fall temperatures setting in, Jim has weather to plan your Monday.